Welcome to Positive Philter with your host, Philip Wilkerson, a podcast that focuses on friends, family, health, and career with a little self-help around the way. Please join me in this journey for self-improvement, and I hope that what I have to share will make you a better person, thus making the world a better place. Hey, Positive Philter listeners, it's Philip Wilkerson back with another episode of Positive Philter. I have a special guest with me today, a good friend of mine, co-founder of the Northern Virginia Bourbon Society, along with Dean and me, and a business owner, my good friend, Sam Hardman.
Hey, Phil.
Hey. So I thought it'd be a good idea. I always wanted to get you on the podcast because in addition to being one of my father mentors, watching you raise your two boys, you've also been a really good mentor in the realm of business and being the owner of your own, I guess, destiny, as they would say, and not working for the man. So, as I introduce you, you have two businesses. You have your own real estate company, the Hardman team, and you're the owner of CrossFit Annandale.
Yeah.
So, with those two ventures, how did you get into business?
So after high school, I joined the Coast Guard. So I went off to boot camp, did my time in the Coast Guard, and got out and had the GI Bill, and came home and was working. I was a chef, and I was working in a bunch of different places cooking, and decided I didn't want to cook anymore, so I was going to use my GI Bill and go to college. And as I was doing that, my dad and my brother were in real estate. So I was working at restaurants, going to college, and this was in 2003 and 2004, and the real estate market was really hot then.
Hot like fire, right?
Hot fire.
Well, I mean, you was making money.
Well, I wasn't in it yet. Somebody was making money.
All right.
They were making enough to where they said, "Hey, man, why don't you quit working at restaurants and come work for us and be our helper?"
That was your dad?
It was actually my brother, my little brother.
Gotcha.
So they gave me a weekly pay to do whatever they needed. They had clients coming in, and I'd pick them up at the airport, or they had a house that was going to close, and they needed to take a bunch of stuff to the dump. I'd load up my truck and take it to the dump.
Just anything, grinding.
Anything. Right? I put in new garage door openers. I mowed lawns. Like anything they needed, I would go do.
Okay.
And it went like that for about a year, and it was great because I was going to school and I could just fit in everything else on the side, and it worked out well. And then my brother decided he wasn't gonna be in real estate anymore. He wanted a more structured job. So I got my real estate license so I can kind of fill in his spot.
Okay.
And that's how it started. I got my license. It was me and my dad working together. That was 2005. So we worked together since then. We worked for a number of different companies in the area, and one day said, "Hey, let's go out on our own," and we started the Hardman Team Realty.
So when you were doing this, you were working for another real estate company. So who had the idea to start your own? Was it you and your dad, or who was the leader in that kind of that?
I was pushing more for it. We were working for a company that we really enjoyed. It was a great company, and some of the leadership in the office was changing over. Okay. And I didn't want to be there for that change. So we said, "Hey, let's go out on our own," and we did. So we left. We had a few friends that were agents that came with us. And joined us, and we've had this small brokerage since.
Now, did you have any background in business before you did this business venture?
Well, I mean, I'd been in real estate for close to 12 years at the time.
Okay.
And you're every realtor out there is an independent contractor. Whatever company they work for, it doesn't matter if it's a big company or a little company. They're independent contractors, and they're doing their own thing.
Right.
So their marketing, their bookkeeping, everything they do is up to them.
So then what's the advantage between doing it for someone else? Is there a security for doing it under someone else? Or is that why sometimes real estate agents go under a bigger company because they have some protection rather than doing their whole complete own business?
There's not really protection. There's name recognition. Like if you work for a big company like Remax or Long & Foster or Keller Williams, people know those names. So sometimes you might get a client because someone knows the name of your company. You also don't have to worry about certain taxes and business paperwork with the state and the county, things like that you do when you own the company. But with every company too, there's a commission split. So the big advantage of being on your own is you can really do what you want, and you can do what you want with the money you're making.
There you go.
Some other companies, the way the contracts read with agreements with buyers and sellers, are it's the company that represents you. So it's the company's money you're dealing with. Even though it's a commission that I'm going to get a portion of, it's the company's money. So if things popped up like hey, this hot water heater broke at the last minute and someone needs to buy it and nobody has the money for it, I'd have to go ask permission to use my commission to help buy a hot water heater.
Right.
So now I don't have to ask permission. I have to ask my own permission.
There you go. And you just talk to yourself and say, do I want to do this?
I return my own phone calls a lot faster than someone else getting back to me.
Sure. And so, and that's in the long and short of it. So what made you want to tack on and add an additional business such as CrossFit Annandale?
Well, that was great question, Phil. Thank you for asking. We got into CrossFit Annandale just by working out there. We had a friend that invited us. We worked out there for a little while. That's where I met you. Mm-hmm. I got my level 1 CrossFit cert so that I could start coaching there to cover my membership costs. Mm-hmm. And the owner at the time, Jeremy, a lot of people listening probably know him too. Yeah. Jeremy was going to be out of town for a few months and said, would you manage it while I'm gone? I said, sure. And that ended up being a year. So I ran the place for a year. He ended up coming back shortly to be transferred overseas permanently and said, are you interested in buying the gym? And I'd already been running it for a year. I said, yeah, I think we can come to an agreement here. And we did. So I bought the gym. We reaffiliated with CrossFit headquarters. And so then I owned the gym.
So now you have 2 businesses. How do you devote time to make sure that both are successful without, giving too much time to one or the other? Or how do you manage to multitask that since they're 2 of your own businesses?
So there's a lot. I use this illustration a lot in real estate. Is if you ever see those pictures of an iceberg and you see the iceberg above the water, but like the majority of it is underwater and you don't know what's happening.
But the under it means like a lot of people see the success part, but people don't see the hard work underneath.
That's exactly it. So I'm big on systems that people don't see. I'll bet anybody going to the gym doesn't realize that there's a lot of systems that go into it.
Okay.
So in both of them, and I think anything, if you put systems in place, get them set up, and put a lot of upfront work into them, later on down the road, the systems kind of run themselves. So the gym, the way we have that set up is I've explained to the coaches a lot of time. We have 7 coaches, 8 including me. They all have full-time jobs. And I've set it up kind of a reverse business model. So typically you'll see like the owner and then vice presidents under that, and then managers under that, and then employees. So I kind of try and take the reverse and have all the members up top and then the coaches and then me. So really all I have to do is help out the coaches, take care of the coaches, and they take care of all the members. So people are like, hey, how are you running this gym? I'm not running the gym. The coaches are running the gym. I'm running 7 coaches. Like all I have to do is support them, and they'll support everybody else. Right.
So it's like you're delegating responsibilities to others that you can trust, so that even when you're gone or not around, you know that system that you put in place is still going.
Yeah, we have great members. We have super loyal members. All of the coaches there were members there before they coached.
Right.
So everybody just has a good community feel there and wants to help out, wants to chip in. So it's nice. There's like a social committee, so it's members that if we wanted to have a party, we just say, hey, we want to do this, and they'll plan it all and take care of everything. So I'm not planning big parties, but we have people that we trust and know can do it and do what they say they're going to do to take care of it for us, which is great.
So now we kind of explained how you got started and multitasking. What are some of the obstacles that you face as a business owner?
Most of the obstacles are that I face that I dislike are the ones I don't know are coming.
Unexpected
things. Like I didn't know I was going to have to pay tax to the county every year on our equipment.
To the equipment, not just the...
So if I buy a barbell,
yeah.
The first year I pay X number of dollars on tax for that barbell. The second year I pay a little less tax on the same barbell. The third year I pay a little less tax on the same barbell.
So do you have to, every time you buy new equipment, who do you register? You have to register each equipment?
Yeah, every year we have to tell the county
how much you have,
what we added and what we took away. So if I sold anything, I have to tell the county, like, hey, we sold 4 barbells, but we bought 2 new ones.
And so they have a listing of all your barbells.
The county knows all of our equipment.
Okay. All right. Well, and you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
No. And so you learn lessons as you go along. What's another obstacle that you think?
It's just little things. There's nothing big that's caught me real off guard with the gym. Some things I didn't expect were people that would just stop paying their bills and block you on social media and never call you back.
Right.
We're like, really? We worked out together for a year and now you blocked me on everything?
Well, I think I was about to say, I think that's a little bit of the trouble of CrossFit, is that because as a business, like, not instead of a global gym where you just sell memberships and you really don't have any investment in people, the thing about CrossFit is that you build a relationship with people. So when they flake out, I could see you as being an owner is not just a reflection of them just dropping out of a gym. It's like losing a friendship almost.
Yeah, it takes some things personally.
Right.
Or you'll have someone that joins and then for some reason doesn't come in for 2 months. And they're like, hey, I didn't use my membership for 2 months. Can you reimburse me? I'm like, well, I haven't watched Showtime in 4 months. I can't call Cox. Be like, hey, I haven't watched since whatever that show I watch is. What's that show with the girl from the CIA? Homeland.
Yeah.
I haven't watched since Homeland ended this season, so can you reimburse me the last 4 months?
Yeah. So I mean, that's the personal aspect. And then, so what are for the listeners out there? What's one of the some of the benefits of being your own boss?
I mean, the benefit I think everybody will tell you is freedom. You can do what you want, kind of when you want, but the downside of that is you're paying for it. So
paying for with what?
Time, money, experience. If I want to go on vacation for a month, I can, but I'm not making money during that month.
Right.
And I'm missing out on building relationships at the gym for that month.
Right.
It's especially in small businesses, the more present you are, the better they run. Even if you're not working in the business, if I just show up and do classes with the members, things run smoother because they see the owner there and you're there doing things. I could go there and just sit in a chair all day and it'd probably run smoother just because you're present.
You're present.
So if I want to, for example, go on vacation for 2 weeks and I'm gone for 2 weeks, nobody sees you for 2 weeks. So it's just little things that don't happen when you're there. Someone won't take out the trash because you weren't there, or someone will leave equipment out because you weren't there.
Right. So what's your typical hours of how do you delegate? So like, since you are your own boss, you have your own time, and you're not like checking in 9 to 5. How do you set a structure for your day for yourself? Like, do you have a set 9 to 5 that you've input on yourself to have some kind of day-to-day structure, like you get up at the same time, things like that?
Yeah, it's a little different during the school year because my kids start school at 9. My wife goes to work at 6:30. So I've been with the kids every morning since they were born. They're 10 and 11 now. So my day starts right when I drop them off at 9 o'clock. So I have a little home office. I have an office at the gym too. So I'll go to one or the 2 offices, and they're both quiet places, and I could just pump out stuff. A lot of people I think that work in offices, you're there for 8 hours, but if you sat down and really calculated how much uninterrupted time you're spending there in that 8 hours, 3 hours of uninterrupted quiet work is probably more than they're doing all day in their 8 hours with their lunch break and their regular breaks and getting up and talking to people.
I mean, I definitely see that, when I work from home, the uninterrupted time is a lot easier when you're at home and you kind of set your own, like, I'm going to do this from this to this, and you're kind of your own boss in that regard.
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, I do like the office culture and having friends and coworkers, so it's kind of the...
So I don't have coworkers in the office with me, so I go out to lunch a lot. I love going out to lunch with people. You know that.
Right.
So So I'll get home at 9 or get to the gym at 9, and I pump out probably 2.5 hours straight of just working, and then I'll start shooting text messages to people. hey man, what do you do for lunch?
Right.
So usually I'll meet someone for lunch, and then I go back to the office or the gym or home office and work for another maybe 1 or 2 hours. Just trying to finish up the day. My wife gets home from work between 2:30 and 3, so it's nice to spend an hour or so with her before the kids get out of school.
Uninterrupted time, right? Yeah.
So it's nice. You can focus in on a few hours what you could do in a day at an office.
Now, what about, like, since your business is running 24/7, do you ever catch yourself doing the bedtime and all that, and then going back to and doing some work up at nighttime?
Not a whole lot. Every now and then. It's smartphones have I sound old. Smartphones have really changed the industry a lot.
Exactly. It makes you more accessible.
Yeah. I mean, I remember before smartphones were invented doing this, and then I'd come home from the office and have to sit in front of a computer for 2 or 3 hours
to do more work.
Doing more work, answering emails that I hadn't seen all day because they didn't come into my phone, and or I was out showing houses and didn't realize all these emails were coming in, something like that. But now with smartphones, you can respond to things so quickly. You can even write contracts on a smartphone.
What you've done?
It's not. I've done it. It's not. It's not easy. It's still not. You still don't have a whole keyboard.
But how are you gonna see that with the font?
It's not easy. I'd much rather go to a computer for that. But you can respond to things so fast. Someone calls you, you can talk to them right away, or someone emails you, you can respond right away, which is great. Except for then people get into and I think a lot of the culture now is people want instant responses to things.
Exactly. So they'll email you like 10 o'clock at night expecting you to respond. You're like, I'm asleep. Watching a TV show.
So with my clients, one of the things I do is part of our initial consultation was the first time we sit down and talk about how it's going to look going forward. We set some boundaries to begin with. So I tell them I'll respond up until a certain time. I say, hey, I'm usually asleep by 10, so if you email me after 10, you won't hear from me in the morning.
Till 9 o'clock.
And what are they going to be like? No, don't do that.
No, they understand.
You're not allowed to sleep.
No.
And in my voicemail, it says, too, that I have set times where I return calls.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that for my life without a business.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I might have to re-record it. Like, what time would I actually answer my phone? Because I think that's a great idea.
And it's
you know who copy? I think who has that same idea now?
Who?
Sam Nang. He does that too. Like,
well, Sam Nang works for us.
Yeah, there you go. So maybe that's a great idea. So I think that I should do that.
Yeah,
too.
it sets expectations. If you get my voicemail, it says, thanks for calling. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Leave a detailed message, and I return calls between 11 and 12, and again between 5 and 6.
And then you do it.
Yeah.
But then you set that time, right? That's your phone time.
That's your phone time. But then you have to call back. But there's nothing saying you can't call back before then. I've called people back, and they're like, oh, I wasn't expecting to hear from you till 5. And you're like, oh, yeah, but I would like to get it done now.
But then at the flip side is that you have to make sure that you set that expectation for your callers that you're going to have to follow through at that time.
Yeah.
If you don't.
Oh, yeah, people get real upset if you don't call them when you say you're going.
And then you're like, hey, that was the time you set.
Yeah. No, you do what you say you do.
Do what you say and say what you do. Or, I don't know, vice versa. All right, so what is some advice that you would give to new business owners?
Get your system set up. Spend the time to do it because it's going to pay you back down the road a lot. I see people. There's about 10,000 realtors in Northern Virginia, and I see people that have been in the business for 20 years, and they're working like it's their first year in business.
Okay.
And I'm like, what a physically and mentally draining job that must be to be in quote unquote entry level working, trying to bust your hump for 20 years.
Right.
Like they just don't have the system set up. There's plenty of people that are in real estate agents in Northern Virginia that don't have a database. Like they don't have anybody to even call. Like, dude, you've sold 100 houses over the last 10 years. You can't call any of your past clients and say, hi, can I buy you a cup of coffee? Would you like to go out to lunch?
So with these, teaching these things, does your dad kind of impart the systems? Does he have his own systems? Have you shared, is he buy into your systems? Like, this is a great idea, Sam? Or?
Yeah, we learned it together. So yeah, he does the same thing.
Does he have the voicemail thing too?
He has the voicemail thing. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's great that you do that. And what about some advice about working with family and friends? Because obviously you have melted that into your business. So you work, because as we said, Sam Nang works with you. That's a friendship.
Yeah.
Your dad works for you. That's your family ship or whatever.
Family ship. Hold on, write that down. I think that's a new word. Family ship.
You heard it here first. But how do you balance those relationships in business?
I mean, you be honest, you be ethical, and again, do what you say you're going to do. Sometimes it's hard working with friends because the expectations are so high, and you don't want to ruin a friendship. One transaction or one deal in whatever business you're in isn't worth a friendship. So if you're going to work with friends, you need to know that you're going to do the job well. You need to know that they're going to see you doing the job well, which is a lot of times just communication. Telling them what you're doing, explaining what's going on throughout the process. If you and I were working together and we wrote a contract and then I didn't talk to you for a month and said, okay, show up for closing next week, right, you'd be like, what happened for the last month? Right. But if I called you every week and I was like, hey, here's what happened this week. The appraisal came in good. That's been cleared. The termite inspection report came in. They have some carpenter bees, but that's being treated. And the underwriters are finishing up your loan. We're on track and we're good to go. And you heard that every week, you'd be like, oh, this guy is taking care of me.
Pretty legit.
And I mean, the other guy might be taking care of you too, but he just hasn't talked to you in a month, right, and leaves you wondering what's happening.
Good. So, any parting words for the listeners listening to this podcast?
Set up your systems. Set up your systems and communicate.
Big ones. And so, lastly, I'd like to give the guest opportunity to plug anything, their social medias, their websites, which I'll put in the show notes. What are some plugs you want to?
The Hardman Team Realty. We love working with buyers and sellers, particularly first-time home buyers. They're a lot of fun to work with because they're very excited about the process. It's fun to work with people who are excited. I work with a lot of teachers. My wife works for Fairfax County Schools. So I work with a lot of teachers, which are great. Teachers are super organized, so the lenders love them because they can get them all their paperwork in a timely manner.
Right.
We actually give a discount for teachers. We call it a Hometown Heroes discount. So we give discounts to law enforcement, first responders, teachers, and military, which saves them literally thousands and thousands of dollars, which is great.
Okay.
So the Hardman Team Realty, people looking to buy and sell houses. I'm focusing now on trying to recruit agents to work for our company. So real estate agents, I'm sure your listeners know more than one real estate agent.
Okay.
So if any of those folks aren't real happy where they are, I'd love to talk to them. The Hardman Team Realty, and then CrossFit Annandale. If anybody's in the Annandale, Springfield, Falls Church area, I'd love to have them come by and check out the gym.
There you go. And then also, the big Sam.
SamHardman.com.
Sam Hardman, he's your own brand.
Yeah, my own brand. These guys can't see me. I have a little bit of a distinctive beard, so...
I'll post a picture on the IG so they can see what
so, a buddy of mine made a logo out of it. He's a great graphic designer. He owns his own company.
What's his company name?
906 Creative.
All right, I'll put
out
that
of Baltimore. He's great.
There you go. What's his name?
Zach Nichols.
There you go.
Shout out to him. We were on vacation together in San Francisco, and he took a picture of me and made it into a logo and bought SamHardman.com and gave it to me for Christmas.
Perfect. You do like a brand. And then lastly, our shout out to the Northern
Virginia Bourbon Society.
It's a Facebook group where we drink bourbon.
Like-minded folks sharing bourbon ideas and training, and it's cool. Someone will be like, hey, I just left the Falls Church location. They have 4 bottles of Blanton's. Get over there quick.
Yeah, we're not experts, and so don't be intimidated if you're a novice bourbon drinker to an expert bourbon drinker. We have all in between. I really go to tastings. I really don't know what's going on. They just all taste good to me.
We're close to 600 members now, though.
Yeah, it started from a humble beginnings of 30?
Yeah, we'll start with 4.
Yeah, shout out to Dean, me, and Brian, Rosie.
Rosie came in. But it's a fun group. Share information and drink some good bourbon.
Good things. All right, thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank
you. Please support local business. Support my friend Sam's local businesses. Support the podcast. If you like this episode, please share it with your family and friends via social media. Or if you like the podcast, write a review on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Positive Philter, a podcast that focuses on family, friends, career, with a little self-help along the way. If you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with your family and friends, and like the Facebook page, Spreading Positivity Movement. Thanks for listening.